Hello everyone, this is Professor Ratajczyk. I just want to take a few moments to walk through Chapter 9 with you. Remember, I'm asking you to focus on these slides here, but certainly read through the chapter as it will help enhance your learning. But I am focusing on these few slides here. Okay. So generally speaking, it's very difficult for companies to put together a metadata program. It's often described as data about data, but people misunderstand the complex nature. It's actually much more than just data about data. So some of the challenges with it, people just don't investigate in metadata. Okay? So we have a lot of problems after that. We have data quality and profiling errors. We have people that are using the data in inappropriate situations or projects because they don't really understand what the variables are doing or how they were calculated, etc. So here are 4 reasons why we would use metadata, therefore trying to convince our company to enact a program. Number 1, it's impossible to produce a data warehouse without it. So this directly aligns with building a data warehouse. You can't do it if you don't know what your data is. So, number 2, governance can be very difficult to establish without metadata. So, governance, what it's used for, the security features, who has access to the data is very important as well. Number 3, reuse. So what this means is if Martin is using the data for a certain project, he's using 6 columns, can Stacy also use the same data or a couple of the columns of data for a very similar process in her department or in her job? So reusing data rather than downloading it all over again from a data warehouse is how can we reuse a pre-existing project? And sometimes we won't know that if we don't have metadata surrounding it. Number 4, improving accuracy. And this simply means that your employees will then understand the variables that they're playing around with, such as the 7 different types of cost that exist out there in many companies. Which cost you use will generally determine how accurate your calculations are. So here are the 7 different types of metadata, and there's actually an 8th one called business metadata that's on the next slide. But these are the finite number here, 7 of them. So structural is that form and function, the things we've worked with before when we canvas data. How many columns are there? How many rows? What are the different data element types? So is it text? Is it quantity? Format's talking about currency, but also other decimals. Is there a special procedure for that? Technical. So this is more for application development. Is there anything that can be simplified from a programming standpoint that allows you to download the file faster? So this is very much an IT programming function, not so much a business function. Reference. So this is simply a table that shows every single variable and its unit of measure. Enumerations and mappings. So this data is shared in this department. This data is provided in units of measure of 1 unit, and on the sales side we never sell it for less than 20 units at a time. So that would be just examples of references and units of measure. Operational. So this is also an IT function in the sense that there is an operations department within your company. And what this means is these people are on call 24/7 to make sure the servers are up and running. And that's an operations team. So they're within the IT group. Operations team, said that 3 times now. They log reports and they look at statistics to see what is happening with the data sets. And whether the servers that house those data sets are critically low of memory, space, things like that might risk being unable to access those data sets the next day of business. Information architecture, entity relationship models. how do all the little data pieces fit together. Okay. Analytical. So this level of metadata discusses what types of reports are being used with this data, any predictions. It could also be like, this variable is very difficult to predict, or this variable is not reliable, so do not use it in a forecast. That kind of level of detail could also be included into the analytical metadata. Semantic. So I've got a slide on this coming up. It's about the business term glossary, and this is the layperson's term for describing what the data is. We often think of this as the data about data when you think very loosely about what metadata is, so it's semantic. It's linking different terms, it's talking about business, and things like that.